Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to officially welcome you all to our first Rebbe Think Tank session of 2024, titled Navigating Success in Today's Real Estate Marketplace. My name is Shyla Campbell. I am the Hawaii Rebbe president. Before we get started, I would like to take a moment and introduce to you and thank our sponsors for today's webinar, Guaranteed Rate. Please welcome Zelda Medina and Joy Sforga to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. This is Zelda Medina from Guaranteed Rate. I believe 2024 is going to be a good year for all of us, believing our success will be based on education, marketing, and partnering with the right team. Partnering with Guaranteed Rate, we can be a great contribution to your successful 2024. We are not a 9-to-5 lender. We answer your calls promptly, even on weekends. Please call Joy or myself if you have any questions. Thank you.
Great. So just adding to Zelda's introduction, Guaranteed Rate, if you haven't heard of us or worked with us yet, we are digitally equipped to be able to close your loans quickly and efficiently, super fast. And we also have the benefit of having this really nice personal touch with loan officers that have been in the business for years, maybe too many years that tells us how old we are, but we are here to help walk your clients through. They certainly can process digitally if they want to. But again, most clients like to have that personal touch, have their options explained, and that's what we do for them. And the idea is that in the coming year, we're all looking towards rates coming down and having a lot of our clients come back into the market. It's a great time to have them take a look at their documents, update their pre-approvals, make sure they're ready to pounce when that right property comes on. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys for being here and for dropping in and saying hello. We so appreciate your partnership. Before we get started, I do have a couple of event announcements coming up, some really great educational pieces that you don't want to miss. The first is going to be that we are actually partnering up with Hawaii Association of Realtors to bring you Lynn Madison to give a 2-hour presentation titled Rethink the Buyer Compensation Conversation. I know this is a topic on many people's minds, so be sure to check the link in the chat for more information and where to sign up. So next up, we also have a really great package deal. For those of you who are interested in obtaining your seller's representative specialist designation, we are bringing in Robert Morris here live into Hawaii to teach the SRS course in April. And as an elective course to complete the SRS education requirements, we are also bringing in the real estate negotiation expert certification that will be virtual on Zoom. Robert Morris is going to be teaching both classes, and there is a discounted rate, a fee of $350. So definitely take advantage of those savings. Both classes are also good for 12 elective CE credits. So I know this is a renewal year. If you haven't done your CE, just like I haven't, a good chance to sign up via the registration link in the chat box. Next up, we do have our upcoming slate of CRB courses. I'm very glad you are joining us here today to experience a presentation by John Mayfield. He will also be teaching 3 of our certified real estate brokerage or CRB courses this year. If you take all 3 courses, you're going to have already completed your education portion of this designation. Each course is CE certified as well for 6 elective credits. These courses, by the way, are not just for PBs or BICs. It's really for anyone who manages an administrative assistant. Maybe you manage a team, office managers, really any agent that just wants to run their business more successfully. So more information can be found in the chat box below. The next event that we have slated is Bias Override. If you'd like to get a jump start on those CE credits, you should also consider taking the Bias Override class. Robert Morris is the co-author of this course. He will be teaching this virtual class, and it is good for 3 CE elective credits. So if you are looking to avoid or gain some clarification on how to avoid those fair housing pitfalls, this is a course that can really help you out. This class is also coming up very quickly, so don't wait to register. Link in the chat below. Now, the last announcement I have is we are running our 25th annual Rebbe Golf benefit. So we are looking and working on obtaining our sponsors for this event. This is an event, by the way, that helps the Hawaii Children's Cancer Foundation and benefits the Rebbe Education Fund. So if you or your company would like to join us as a sponsor, please consider this worthy event. It's also a very fun event, so check out the link in the chat for more information. Now, before I introduce John, I just want to remind everybody that at the end of this webinar, to please consider taking our course evaluation. Your input's just very valuable to us, so we would love to have that feedback. All right, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce John Mayfield. John is a licensed real estate broker in Missouri and Florida. He also has experience working as a real estate agent in Nice, France, for an international real estate brokerage office, where he leads their technology and international marketing activities. John has earned the ABR, ABRM, CRB, ePro, and GRI designations throughout his real estate tenure. John has spoken to thousands of real estate professionals on technology, marketing, and brokerage topics throughout his tenure, both nationally and internationally. John has also served as the national president for the Council of Real Estate Broker Managers in 2010. And amongst all of his awards, he is also an inductee of the Rebbe Hall of Leaders Award. So without further ado, please welcome John Mayfield.
Aloha. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come and speak to your organization. I always have a great time speaking to my friends in Hawaii, whether it's virtually or in person. So thank you for taking time out this morning to visit with me. I want to talk to you today about navigating success in today's real estate market. And I really want this to be more of a conversation for us. And I guess my first question when I was putting all of this together was just to ask you the question, have you ever wanted to just give up? I mean, have you maybe just been burned out and you were a little bit tired? I've been there before, and I know what that's like. And I know some of you have heard my story about the blueberry farm, and I'm not talking about the blueberry farm here. What I'm just talking about is in our careers in general. Sometimes it's easy to just want to burn out. And, we're in this struggle of a real estate business and we work so hard and today I'm running this online real estate school and I have to be honest with you. Sometimes I feel like, gosh, I'm doing so much work and I'm working so hard. Why are things not just going the way I'd love for them to go? And sometimes you just want to give up. Sometimes it's just really challenging and difficult. But we really can't give up. And I kind of learned this back in 2005 and 2006. Now, keep in mind, there are lots of times in our lives when we want to quit. And there was a time in my life in 2005 and 2006 that I really just wanted to quit. And again, this is not the blueberry story if you've been on with me before. And if you don't know what the blueberry story is, well, I'll tell that to you on another occasion. But I got my real estate license in 1978 at the age of 18. I used to use a Trans Am for this slide, but I thought I would just go with the date 1978. That's when I got my real estate license. So you can figure out how old I am. I will be 64 in May of this year, and real estate is all I've ever known. I took over my mom's office in 1987 and had very good fortune in growing the company, and we expanded to 3 offices and a number of agents. But it was really in 2005, 2006 that I was burned out. I mean, I just was tapped out. And there were a couple of things that happened in 2006. Now, when I tell you that I was tapped out, I want you to understand I started in 1978 at the age of 18, and of course I started as a salesperson, and then I took over my mom's office and was kind of a selling broker, and we had this boutique, and I knew a lot about technology and marketing, and people fortunately wanted to come to work for me, and I was thrilled with that. And I got this, this grand idea in my head that maybe I should just grow the company and recruit all of these agents, and I could be number one and life would be great. And lo and behold, I burned out. I mean, I was a selling broker, but now I'm just putting out fires and I have no time to list and sell the thing that I really love to do. So in 2005, 2006, it was kind of interesting. I heard Lou Holtz in a video talk about the time that he was granted the opportunity to coach the New York Jets. And I remember in that video, Lou Holtz saying, he woke up one day and he said, I told my wife, I'm just not having fun anymore. And and he quit. He said, I just can't coach professional football. And then it was the very next month, I hear Rick Pitino talk, and Rick's talking about he was a college basketball coach, very successful. He was from Boston. He was granted the Boston Celtics coaching job. And Rick's giving this live presentation to a Remax audience. And I'm attending in Las Vegas. And I hear Rick say almost the same thing Lou Holtz said. He said he woke up one morning and he told his wife, he said, honey, I'm miserable. And he called the owner and he said, I quit. And the owner said, you're leaving $4 million on the table. And Rick said jokingly that day, let me call you right back. But he said, no, I quit. I just can't take it anymore. And so I go through these slides with you. As I mentioned, I want to have a conversation with you that I sold my office in 2006. By the end of 2006, after watching those 2 videos, I thought, you know what? It's not fun anymore, and I've got to do something different. And I sold my office, and I literally was so excited because I had this fresh canvas, and I'm going to paint a new picture, a new chapter of my life. And I have to tell you, I woke up and I was lost. I mean, I really was. My mom always told me all sunshine makes a desert. And I think I was just striving for good stuff all the time. And I had to remind myself that even though things are not always going the way they should, we do have to be happy with what we're doing, but we're going to have challenges. And I had to figure out, what am I going to do now back in 2008 and moving forward. And of course, the real estate economy's tanking then. And for those of you who've heard my blueberry story, I've had all this other junk going on, but I had to figure out which way to go and what to do. And it really was kind of scary. And I have to tell you, the last year, it's been a little scary for a lot of us. I mean, we've had all this stuff going on with the National Association of Realtors. We've had a shortage of housing. We have interest rates going up. And I don't know about you, but prices are just off the chart in my area. I mean, I'm looking at houses and I'm thinking, my gosh, I used to own that home and I only paid $22,000 for it. And today it's selling for $200,000. And I mean, just overnight, we've had this shortage of housing and we've had prices that have just gone off the chart. And so what do we do? Where are we going? And that's kind of what I want us to talk about today is, where do we go with everything going on? And for some of us, we may think, gosh, these are uncharted waters. Uh, we've never been here before. Will things ever get back to normal? And here's what I can tell you after 45, 46 years as a real estate professional and someone who's practiced real estate under 8 different presidents, all the way back to Jimmy Carter, is that even if the market goes haywire, even if the market does really weird stuff, and it has throughout my whole real estate career. I mean, I've practiced real estate when interest rates were 20%, and I refinanced a home at 12.5%, and I was giddy the whole way home in the car, giving a fist bump in the air because I got a 12.5% interest rate. And here's what I know: it'll always rebound, and things will always get back to normal. And there's always this uh, bucket of gold at the end of the rainbow after the storm is over with. So I want to tell you there will be brighter days ahead, and I want to share with you some suggestions, okay? Um, I want this to kind of be the suggestion box, and I want you to know that uh, I want to just share with you things I've noticed over the last 45 years, 46 years now, and talking and working with thousands of agents all over the world, and really always asking successful agents, what do you do to be number one? And I want to share with you some of those things that I've just learned and gleaned and listened from. And again, it's not me, it's from other successful agents I've talked to. I was in St. Louis. I was teaching the real estate negotiating course in St. Charles, Missouri, back in October. And I noticed on the roster, the number one agent in the St. Louis market was in my class. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't know her, but I knew her name. She runs this huge team, and she's going to be one of my students in the real estate negotiating course. And by the way, if you haven't signed up for that course, you need to do so. Like that course, they've redesigned it. I love teaching it, and it's just an amazing course. So I encourage you to sign up for that. And Robert is such a great speaker, so you're going to get twice the fun there. But I'm teaching this real estate negotiating course, and there's the number one agent in the St. Louis area. Huge market, St. Louis, for us anyway. She's in my class with a couple of her team members. She comes up to me before class starts and she said, "You don't remember me," but she said, "You, your GRI course I took was the very first course I ever took as a real estate agent. I drove all the way to Jeff City. And when she started telling me how she came in late in the scenario, I remembered her. And I said, well, I'm just honored to have you here today." So she was so much wealth of wisdom to share in the class. We had this great time together. But I remember asking her that day, I said, what's the secret of your team? How do you do so much? And she said, we divide and conquer. We split things up as a group, and that's our motto. And she said, we divide things up, but we get it done. So I want to go back to this suggestion box and let you know I'm going to share some suggestions with you today of some things that I would encourage you to do. And not only the suggestions, but hopefully some applications that you can use to grow your business. And by the way, it's like a smorgasbord. Maybe you don't want to do a few of the items, but I think these can change the trajectory of your real estate career. And if you're already going in a great direction, I think they can even take you to higher. Uh, you could soar higher by using some of these. And the first one is that you have to set goals. Goals are so important for you. Um, you know, I I'm a big goal setter, and I love to set goals. In fact, I have I'm not wearing my Apple Watch today, but on my Apple Watch, I have my goals in a photograph form, and I can when I look at the time, I see my goals. There's 3 or 4 pages there. But I'm really big on looking at your goals on a daily basis. Now, why do I say that? Because Stanford University did a study on goal setting, and what they found was 84% of the people who write their goals down and look at them daily achieve their goals. Think about that. If you write your goals down and you look at them on a daily basis, you have an 84% chance of reaching your goals. Now, not only are my goals on my watch, but they're on my phone. It's a screensaver on my phone. So when I pick my phone up, I always am either seeing uh, scripture, Bible scripture that backs up my affirmation and my goals of what I want to achieve, but I'm also seeing the goals that I've set for myself. So a lot of us will have our goals up here in our head, but do we really take the time to write them down and to think about those goals? Now, here's another little item I want to share with you, and it's a book called What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School by Mark McCormick. And one of the interesting things in this book, it's an older book, it's a great book. You can see there's been over 1 million copies sold. But one of the things Mark did was he studied the graduates back in the 1980s and really wanted to find out, were they writing any goals for their life? What did they want to do after they left Harvard? And he came back a number of years later and he kind of followed up on all of these folks. And what he found was only 3%, only 3% were writing their goals down. Of those 3% who wrote their goals down, they were making 10 times more money than the entire 97% of the class. Now, he goes into more detail in that specific book on all of that. But what Mark is saying and what the Stanford University report says is that if you write your goals down and you look at them each and every day, you have a huge opportunity of reaching those goals. You read any book like Napoleon Hill and some of the great motivational books from the 40s and 50s, and they will tell you writing your goals down, looking at those goals are huge. So I just encourage you to write your goals down and look at those. And I think it's important for us to make them SMART goals where they're specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. One of my goals for my real estate school is to make X number of dollars every day selling real estate courses. I'm in 10 different states. And so I know how many classes I want to sell every day. Now, have I reached that goal yet? No. Is it specific? Absolutely. Can I measure it? Sure. Is it achievable? I think so. It's much less than one course per state per day. So it's definitely achievable. And then the last item there, is it realistic? Sure it is. And is it timely? You bet. I have that goal to be reached in 2024. So I want you to set some goals. And the first application I have for you is this. Take um, take um, your phone and just write down some in your notepad, whether you're an Android or an Apple user, just take your notepad and type your goals down and pull that little note out and look at it every day. If you want to get creative, take a screenshot and then just transfer it over to your Apple Watch or your watch and have it as a background or a screensaver. but take some time to write your goals down. So that's the first suggestion I have. And the first application I want you to do is I really am so serious. You will raise your chances, your opportunities by just taking the time to not only write them down, but you have to look at them every day. The second thing you need to do is you need to have a business plan. Now, I put this up and I have taught my agents for years and years and years, you are your own business. It's your business. Yes, you have to abide by my office policy. Yes, you have to abide by the Hawaii rules and regulations and license law, and there are federal legislation laws we have to abide by. But at the end of the day, it's your business. I mean, you can make of your business whatever you want to. And so you've got to have a business plan. Well, I've told this story before, and I don't know if you've heard it when I teach the CRB business planning course. I can't remember if I taught that for Hawaii or if we're getting ready to teach that. But whenever I teach the business planning course, I show this Philly cheesesteak sandwich. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? I um, I love Philly cheesesteak sandwiches. And my wife and I, one day, were trying to figure out where we wanted to go for lunch. We normally eat lunch at home, but because I work from home now, and we wanted to get out and just go have a sandwich. And I said, hey, there's a new Philly cheesesteak sandwich shop that just opened. I saw the ribbon cutting in the paper. I know where it's at. Let's go out and have a sandwich. So she said, that sounds good. So it's lunchtime. We drive out, and I knew it was on Flat River Road. But I thought it was in a different location. Well, we kept driving Flat River Road, and like way out in the middle of nowhere, this person built a brand new building, and there was a big dance studio there. And there's the Philly cheesesteak sandwich shop. We go in, we're the only two in the restaurant. It must have been a husband and wife, and they were so excited to see us, and they were so kind and nice, and the restaurant was immaculate, clean, all new equipment. I mean, new everything, and the sandwich was awesome, but there were no customers. I don't know if you saw that news story recently about the guy who had the hot dog shop in Oklahoma, and there was one customer in there, and he was looking at the door, and the customer said, what, is there something going on? And he said, no, I'm just waiting for some customers to show up. Sometimes, like I do with my real estate school, I'm like, the other day I was upstairs, I'm like, I'm just waiting for some students to show up. I mean, I do well, don't get me wrong, and students love my class, but I naturally, like any of us, we want our business to be doing something every day. And so here we are at the Philly cheesesteak place, and and a great sandwich, great food, new facility, new equipment. And my wife said to me, do you think they'll make it? And I said, I don't know. I said, but what really concerns me is, do you think they ever did a pro forma statement on how many sandwiches they had to sell every day to break even? Now, let me ask you that question. How many transactions do you need to do every month to break even? Have you ever sat down and figured it out? I know exactly how many classes I have to sell every day to break even. And when I say break even, it's paying all of my bills, not only at work, but at my home bills, and putting back some profit and paying my taxes and all of the things that I have to pay for. And so do we know that? When I tell my blueberry story, I always talk about the fact that I was one of those people like goals. I know what the numbers are up here, but Now, don't make me sit down and put it on paper until, the perfect storm hits you. And now you got to figure out, well, how much money do I need to pay my bills every month? And so I asked my wife, I said, do you think they ever did a pro forma statement? I mean, did they know we got to sell 60 we have to sell 60 sandwiches just to pay our bills and break even? That's not even a profit. Do you think if they had done that, and maybe they did, but if they had done that exercise, would they have maybe looked at it and said, I don't know, that's a lot of Philly cheesesteak sandwiches we have to sell. Well, you need to do that as a real estate professional. You need to have a business plan. And so one of the things I'm going to share with you as far as an application is I have a really cool spreadsheet that I'm going to give you an opportunity at the end where you can uh, register for any of this information. And I've got some free gifts that I'll provide to you. But I have an amazing spreadsheet, and you can put your numbers in, and I'll give you a video and show you how it works, and you can play around with that, but it really will help you develop a business plan. And the cool thing about this is that once you figure out, okay, now I know how many transactions I need to sell or do each month, now you can get your marketing plan on the same page so you know just exactly what you need to be doing in order to reach those numbers. So have a business plan. It's so important. And again, I've got that. It's a free gift, and I'll provide that to you. Share with you how to get that at the conclusion. I think the third suggestion I want to share with you is that you really have to stay focused. This is a business that can pull us in so many directions, and it's so easy to get off focus. And there's so many things that can happen, and there's so much junk anyway in our normal lives that we can get pulled off focus. I know I've seen that with my real estate school, and sometimes we have to just sit back and put a new set of lenses on to say, okay, this is what I want to get focused on and I want to do. I think that's so important. And this gentleman right here can teach us a lot about staying focused when things don't go our way, when challenges arise. And that's Thomas Edison. I mean, he failed thousands of times before he invented the light bulb. And he even said himself, they weren't failures. They were just, maybe he said failures, but he said it took him 10,000 tries to get it right. And so, stay focused, remain focused. And I think that's so important. That's my third suggestion. And it kind of goes along with suggestion number 4, which is time management. I think we've got to be better at our time management skills. I use an app on my computer. I use a MacBook, and I use a little app called Be Focus, and a lot of times I'll use that on a daily basis where I put in I need to spend 30 minutes doing this. I need to spend 15 or 20 minutes doing this. I need to write cards and be more active in that. And so I'm trying to be better with my time management. I'm trying to delegate things more. I have a virtual assistant who helps me. And the other day I found myself doing some um, coursework that I love to do in cleaning some things up we were launching a new look, and we've already launched a new look and feel for the course. And she's kind of helping me with some of the state stuff. And I found myself doing all of this. And then I said, John, is this the best use of your time? Jean can do this. And I backed off, and I was like, I've got to delegate this to Jean, and I need to use my time trying to go and talk to brokers in some of the states that we are approved in and let them know how I can help them build some ways that they can recruit agents better and be more thorough. So time management is my 4th suggestion. And what's the application for that? Here's what I think is the best thing you can do. I think you need to develop some type of a Word document or a spreadsheet. I have a little Word document and I just basically have 3 columns. And the first column is, what do I need to get done today? That's the first column. The second column is it a 1, 2, 3, or 4? And I just go back to the old um, Stephen Covey rule, where you're kind of delegating some of your tasks and putting priorities on those. And then just assign a time period that you want to work on that or when it has to be done. Now, Apple's released this new updated version of their reminders, and you can do all of that right inside your reminders, and it syncs with all of my devices. And I'm sure if you're an Android person, there's or a Windows person as well, there are programs and tools out there to help you stay. But sometimes I just will print out a Word document that I created and I'll handwrite those down and use that in that specific way. So my application for that is take some time, develop a way that you can use time management to help you out. Now, let's talk about what I think is the most important suggestion that you can do. And that is, you have to work your raving fans. When I say raving fans or sphere of influence, we have to be working the people we know. Now, I went to graduate school when I was in my kind of mid 50s, I guess it was. And I remember being at a National Realtors meeting in Washington, D.C., when they announced that they were starting Realtor University. And I sat there and thought, gosh, I'd like to go back to school and get my master's degree. It had always been a goal of mine. And so I thought, I'm probably too old to go back to school. And then I didn't get in the first class, but then I kept thinking about it and I thought, okay, I'm going to go back and get my master's degree. So I signed up, applied for the second class, and was brought into the second class and graduated with a master's degree in real estate. And so when you get your master's degree, for those of you who've gone and done your doctorate or master's degree, they always require you to write a thesis paper, and that's the last part of your program. And so my thesis paper was on, what do top successful real estate agents do to generate business? And guess what? The number one item I discovered through all of my interviews and all of my research with top successful agents, just like the lady who was in my class recently, they work their sphere of influence. I mean, they're working past clients, customers, and people that they know. When I was listing and selling real estate full time, and I still list and sell real estate today, and all of my business is past clients. I mean, I do go out and prospect. My wife and I do that because I want to be in the trenches doing what you're doing. And I work, and my specialty now is working out of the area by out of state sellers, landowners. I mean, if I was in Hawaii, if you dropped me off in Hawaii, I'd be working my sphere of influence about trying to come to Hawaii and buy condos. But if I lived in Hawaii, I'd be aggressively trying to work out of state owners, people who had condos in Hawaii or real estate as investment property who lived on the mainland. Uh, that's a huge deal for me locally. But my number one source, and all of those agents I talk to, the number one source for them is working their sphere of influence, working people they know. And if you're not doing this on a regular basis, you really have to do so. And you really need to get into your CRM, your your client relationship management base, your database, and you need to start targeting those people in unique ways. I have to tell you, I listened to this book by Dan Kennedy a couple of years ago, and it just changed my whole outlook on my database. And I had so many people from my school in my database, but I wasn't working them and going after them like I should. So you need to work your sphere of influence, your raving fans. That's probably, if I could say, what's the main suggestion out of all of these? This is it right here. And if you're not doing that regularly, I definitely would do that. So the application here is you've got to start putting names down. And one of the things that I always like to tell new agents when I'm coaching them is, assign a value to them. A clients are people that I would definitely go out to eat with, that I don't mind having coffee with, that I can talk to very closely. They're the people I'm going to be communicating with the most. They may be the movers and shakers in my marketplace. B my B folks that are on there, they're good clients and customers, but I probably would feel a little awkward going out to eat with them. I mean, I could, but they're not like the A people that I'm very comfortable with. And then you have your C clients or customers, and those are the people that are on my database. I've met them, I know them, I want to communicate with them, but I'm going to feel a little bit weird going to calling them up saying, hey, you want to go to lunch or something like that. So you just need to, when I talk about the application for this, I want you to really look at your database and I want you to try to categorize and organize how can you start communicating with these folks. Now, two other things that we could talk about here when we talk about working your sphere of influence and working people and this is another thing Dan Kennedy talks about, and I love Dan Kennedy. And if you haven't subscribed to his podcast called The Magnificent Marketing Hour, I'll get that list to you. But Dan talks about being an authority expert. Now, when I heard him talk about this, I thought to myself, I think that's that's how I positioned myself right here in my community. Now I'm in a small rural area. It's grown, it's big, but I was attending classes. I was attending realtor meetings. I was using the power of public relations. So when I attended some of these events, I would send something to the local paper. I went back and got my broker's license in 1980. I got my license in 78, and in 1980, I got my broker's license. Now, I have to tell you, getting my broker's license gave me so much more confidence to talk to consumers, to talk to others in the marketplace, that it really started to level me as the authority expert in my marketplace. Now, the other thing that you can be is an influencer marketing. And you see a lot of the young generation doing that and trying to do more of that on social media. But whether you do the influencer side or the expert side, always try to create some value. I think that's probably the key anytime we're going to try to become that person in the area is what can you do to create some value? There has to be a value proposition. And so what I want you to do is stand out in your marketplace. You need to be able to stand out and to be the authority expert or be a marketing influencer. So what's the application here? Well, there's lots of things you can do. Some of you may speak a second language. That or maybe a third or fourth language. I know in France, some of the people I know there, they speak 5 and 6 languages. But maybe you can speak a second language. That could be something that could help you out. Other things you can do is just promoting what's going on in the market, news. We do this through average price information. You could do that. You could host a YouTube where you talk about what's going on in the real estate market. I mean, if you had a YouTube TV program, you could interview the loan officers who are on here. I have a podcast. I love to podcast, and I have to tell you, it's huge for me. But there's lots of things that you can do to be an authority or an influencer marketer. So think about some of those items that you could do and how you could take your business to the next level. Now, another suggestion is that you have to lead generate. And we all know that, don't we? I mean, without lead generation, our business will dry up. And if there's one thing I hear from agents that I coach every week is, how do I generate more leads? Well, we can do targeted advertising right now. There's lots of things we can do. The key is, and this is where real estate agents are missing the boat, you have to build some type of a sales funnel. Now, I know I'm saying sales funnel, but you have to look at this as a way that if you have something on your website, how can you get that into the funnel so that you can communicate with them? So you need to build a sales funnel. I have a whole lengthy presentation I do just on this topic for real estate agents and brokers. And so what I want to just quickly share with you is this. Imagine a funnel, just as we've said here, and here's your website. Right now, you have people coming to your website and they're turning around and leaving. They're coming to your website, they're turning around and leaving. They're coming to your website, they're turning around and leaving. Oh, this person has millions of dollars to invest in a real estate property in Hawaii, but they just left your website. I see this with brokers too. They say, join our company, and you go to that site and there's nothing there. And so I'm trying to teach brokers, you need to have what's called a lead magnet. Have something, if you were fishing, the right bait that a person would say, well, I want to know what the 10 most important things I should know are before I invest in Maui or on the mainland or on Hawaii, the Big Island. And so when they are on your website, they download your free report or they watch your free webinar, or there's a million things we could do. And then boom, you've now got a prospect who's in your database, right? And we've probably labeled them as a C or a certain tag. And we're going to communicate with them until what? Until we sell or until they leave. And if they leave, that's okay, because we're always going to be putting new prospects into our funnel. And when I talk about creating a sales funnel, that's what I'm talking about. You have to create some way to get agents or consumers, pardon me, to opt in and communicate with you as an agent. I guess what I wanted to say is you have to, as an agent, look at your business as a business. You can do the same stuff that Amazon's doing today, or that any of these other big retailers are doing today. And some of it is literally free to be able to do. I was doing a coaching call recently with a group of agents, and we were using Google websites and some other things. And one of my agents, and I always get thrilled with that, he called me up and he said, John, look at this. And he built this amazing sales funnel for free. And now he's using a domain name that I taught them how to get for a couple of bucks. And he's pointing that domain name to the lead magnet, and he's capturing leads. And he's doing all of that through farming a specific marketing area and putting that domain name right on the postcard. And it's been huge for him. So, think about how you can create a funnel And I hope I'm going okay on time. I only have a little bit left to go here. So if I've gone over, I apologize. But these are some great books on building sales funnels here. And I'm right in the middle of this $100 million leads. I've read Alex's other book, $100 million offers. Great book, great resources. Russell Brunson's .com secrets is similar to that. But, all of those really lead into this next item, which is leveraging technology and artificial intelligence, AI. We've heard a lot about that, don't we? And I'm sure you'd like to say, oh, John, don't talk to me about AI. But I have to tell you a quick story, and I want to share you a couple of slides with you. Well, let me pull that up and I'll just share it with you here. This is a brand new fair housing course, a continuing education course that I put on Global Real Estate School. I only offer CE classes in Missouri, Indiana, and Oklahoma right now. I probably need to check with getting my CE classes approved in Hawaii, because I do offer the salespersons and the brokers course in Hawaii, and so I'm very familiar with your license law. But I wanted to do something fun, so I created a fair housing module. It took me 2 days to create this. And I used artificial intelligence to really go back and just recreate this fair housing course. I wanted to do something totally different. And so what I did was I used 2 artificial intelligence voices along with my own live voice so that they're not hearing the AI people all the time. And by the way, these artificial intelligence voices are pretty good. I used both of them. I wrote out the scripts. I wrote the content. I used AI to do some research and to help me with that. And within 2 days, I had my 3-hour course done. And I've had it approved now. I had my first student go through yesterday. They finished, they sent me an email and they said, John, that was an amazing course. Now, I'm not just saying that to brag about my course, but I asked them, I said, I hope it wasn't, I hope it didn't bother you that I was using these computerized voices. And he said, not at all. They sounded realistic. And I wrote the script so as they were talking, they were using my name and we were having conversations throughout the course. But what I want you to know is this: we are in a world with artificial intelligence like ChatGPT, and how you can have uh, voiceovers and your voice cloned. And by the way, that graphic, AI drew that for me. It drew most of the graphics that I have in the course, which is pretty cool. And I use this voice generator and I cloned my own voice, and literally it's going to change the way I can move forward in getting my courses approved in other states, because now we can have my voice read the material. I can come in periodically live, just as I'm doing now with this presentation, so it doesn't get too boring with just slide after slide after slide. And so I'm using AI to help me build things quicker and do some very interesting items. So I just want you to know that. And I think this comes out, or has already come out, and they've already sold out of it. This is going to change the way we do business. And so leverage technology, and the application there is, watch some YouTube channels. There's endless possibilities. Keep learning, keep growing. And my 10th item and final item is, sometimes you need to hire a coach or a mentor. And I say that because I remember my dad hiring a coach for me, a golf coach, when I was probably 11 or 12 years old. And I still use Mike's methods that he taught me, Mike Marvel, as I play golf today. And sometimes we need somebody else to help us. So my application is start a mastermind. You don't have to go out and pay for coaching, but Maybe you already have a coach, but I started a mastermind about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and we meet every Monday by Zoom. And that mastermind has been so good for me and it's helped me grow in so many ways. And I just encourage you to think about how you could do that. So, just remember, stay positive. Good things will happen. These are some suggestions that I hope you can take away. There's some great audio books out there. I love this book I recently read, and this is my third time going through The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. But what a great book and what great information. And it just helps get a mind shift when you listen to books or read books on how you can change your attitude from I can't to I can and success. So, we all want to quit from time to time. But I'll end with this little piece here. I was running for Missouri Realtors president back in 2010, and I kind of got off track. It's a long story, and the blueberry story is where that kind of starts over. And through all my trials and tribulations, I ended up in Nice, France, and working in a real estate office. My wife and I are living on the French Riviera, and every night on my way home from work, I would stop at this bakery and I would get a baguette, and my wife and I would sit on our balcony looking at the Mediterranean Sea, having cheese and a baguette and sometimes a glass of wine, and just, thinking, how did we end up here? We've never been this broke in our life, and we're living in one of the wealthiest places in the world. And I remember going back, I had been running for Missouri Realtors president. And I had to drop out of the race because I had all this other junk going on. And I remember my wife and I are there in Nice, and it's like 6 o'clock in the evening, but it's like noon or 11 back home. And on Facebook, all of my friends were posting all of these things from the Winter Business Conference at the Missouri Realtors. And I thought to myself, gosh, I'll never get that opportunity again. Now, that's in 2009, 2010. Well, fast forward, we move back. I still go back to France. I'm going back in just a few weeks, but we move back. I start going to Missouri Realtor meetings. Somebody says, you ought to run for president again. I thought, I don't think I could do that. And lo and behold, I get elected as president for Missouri Realtors. And so in 2022, I was president. But I show you that slide because, I wanted to give up at some times, but don't give up. You never know what might be waiting around the corner. And we're always going to have challenges. We're always going to have difficulties. But if we hang in there and we do the right suggestions and follow the right path and believe in ourselves, we can have success. So if you want, I have a little article here you will get, but it will tag you in my database that you downloaded this, and I'll follow up with you and send you some of the other tools and things that I promised to send to you within the next day or two. So if you give me a little bit of time, but I hope this was helpful, and it's just been an honor to be a part of your program. Thank you so much. And I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any. And I hope that I did not go too long.
No, thank you so much, John. Yeah, so if anybody's got questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. It looks like we did actually get one question, John, if you have time.
Sure.
The question is, what AI apps do you recommend?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I use my chat GTP, my chat, is it GPT or GTP? I have to look here, but GTP, yeah, I think it is. Anyway, I use that specific one, and I do pay the $20 version so that I have the ability to, get them more current information and also have the drawings and some of that. So yeah, great question. Thank you.
Awesome. Let's see. Any other questions? I think that may be it.
There's so
Let's see. Yeah.
I don't know if in the chat if there were any questions or
Yeah. So far I think that's the only one.
okay.
But
That's
yeah,
great.
here we go. So thank you so much, John. I really appreciate you taking the time. We're so looking forward to having you here teaching our CRB courses this year as well. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
This concludes our presentation for today. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and for coming. Have a wonderful day, and don't forget to fill out your evaluations. Thank you.
Thank you.